I feel deeply responsible to be some sort of conduit for change for members of my community, of my family, of communities like mine.
So I'm now more than ever passionate about not only just helping people, but I do think that our laws need to change, and the way that we see immigrants in terms of our immigration system needs to have more empathy and more humanity.
Family separation happens every day, and what's happening in our society and in our politics right now is that we are coming to terms with that being okay or having enough of it.
My name is Stephanie Guzman. I'm a proud Afro-Latina Dominican immigrant rights advocate, and I currently work at a nonprofit in New York City helping folks who are applying for asylum. I won't say the name of the organization, but that work is so personal to me because I am a child of immigrants, and I see my aunts, my mom, my grandparents, and every person that I interview. And I think that it's important to have folks who come from an immigrant background being in that field. I think that we take it really personally. I think that we invest our entire soul into that work because we know what it means to be an immigrant or to go through the immigration process.
My name is Amin Fernandez, and right now I'm a graduating law school student. I attend New York Law School. When I first entered law school, I thought I was going to be doing criminal defense. I took an immigration law class and it piqued my interest, and I started to realize that I had a passion for it, not only because of the topics that we covered, but because of the fact that I'm an immigrant myself. I was born in the Dominican Republic, and although I came to New York and South Bronx when I was very young, I've always been surrounded by immigrants myself. So that's kind of one of the reasons why immigration law interested me in the first place.
My name is Pamela Chamba, and I work at Forward.us. Forward.us is a bipartisan organization working on criminal justice and immigration reform. I am the director of state immigration campaigns. Because of DACA, I was working in an electoral campaign, and I realized that a lot of the conversations I was having with people at the door were about someone else's immigration status, and that if I needed people to go out and vote, I really needed to think about how I was still not being eligible to vote because I was not a citizen. So I started engaging on immigration, and I like to say that I was pushed to do immigration because I realized that was a way to share my voice and really do something about it.
There was this one woman who I interviewed. She was like 20 years old, and she had a 4-year-old son, and she was fleeing from her abusive partner, and she had made it all the way to like some river in Texas, and all that she had was a inflatable raft. And I get chills like thinking about it because she couldn't really swim, so she's like, the way that I had to do it was I had to put my son on top of this inflatable raft, and I kind of had to just swim like with him. And she told me that at one point, like the current of the river was so strong that she really didn't think that she was gonna survive. And she told me that the last thought that she had in her head before she was actually taken by ice was that she was gonna push the raft as far as she could so that at least her son could make it to shore. And to me, that was such a powerful thought of having a child and wanting that precious creature to cross this river with your final breath. Is so emblematic of every parent here who is an immigrant, who is raising their kids, and who is willing to put themselves on the line to literally die for their child to be able to reach the other side, to be able to reach heights and dreams that they were not able to reach.
So at New York Law School, I went to Tijuana with a group of colleagues and classmates. The situation in Tijuana is that you have a lot of migrants, people who are coming from all different parts of the world, coming to Tijuana to attempt to cross into the United States to ask for asylum. Asylum is a form of refuge in which someone says that I fear to go back to my country. I fear for my safety. When you do this, you're supposed to be given something which is called a credible fear interview. A credible fear interview is when someone who works for the United States basically interviews you to see if your asylum claim is for real or not. I saw families of suitcases and luggage, families that literally had nothing else, nowhere to go. And if you were to go, you're gonna see migrants or immigrants under 2 red tents, and you're gonna see a composition notebook. This composition notebook has a list of over 2,000 people. What we're essentially telling people is, if you're scared, put your name down on this list and wait 4 to 5 weeks.
I remember I was 11 years old, I think 10, when my parents decided that the best move we could do was to move to a different country for a better education. I was just lucky that my friends and my family were very supportive of our move at that time, and still are, and understand why we made that decision of moving to a different country, miles and miles away from them. And today, I have a different life and they have a different life. That the concept of making time for each other to communicate is a strange one, it's a foreign one, because we haven't been part of each other's lives because of this separation, because I didn't have the privilege of going every summer to Peru and spending time with them. I was locked out of that privilege, I was locked out of that opportunity because our immigration system was never fair to us, and it was okay with keeping families separated.
When you're used to living in a certain country or being around your entire family, not seeing them at all is very difficult. Family separation, I think, is one of the most difficult parts of being an immigrant, whether or not you emigrate legally or not. Families would ask us, if I have my birth certificate or if I have my child's birth certificate, if I have all my paperwork, are we going to be separated? And we would tell them, we don't know. You could be or you could not. But just in case, here's a marker, write your name on your child just in case you are. We even had this migrant from Afghanistan that somehow got to Tijuana and hadn't spoken his native tongue in 5 months. So his face lit up when one of the nurse practitioners there who spoke Farsi and Arabic came and spoke to him. So the language barrier or the lack of resources is definitely an issue, because even if you do somehow get your name on that list and you have to wait 4 to 5 weeks, how do you survive for 4 to 5 weeks? And if you're black or if you don't speak the language, you stand out. And people know that you have all your money on you, all your documents on you, and a lot of people get robbed.
I think that one of the unique responsibilities of kids of immigrants who are bilingual, I think we're always kind of raised as a bridge, right? Like a bridge between the immigrant culture that you come here with and then the US culture. My background has definitely led to some negative experiences. One experience that I really carry with me is when I was applying to college, I didn't really know what was going on, what to do, how to apply, as many first generation kids do. And so I relied on the guidance of my guidance counselors, who were supposed to kind of show me the way and help me apply. And I particularly remember that when I was applying to Cornell, which is where I eventually ended up going, my guidance counselor told me to not waste my time in applying because they were going to confuse me with the help, insinuating that because I am Latina, that they were going to confuse me for somebody who was trying to clean the classrooms instead of going there. And so originally I let that comment really weigh on me, and I really internalized the fact that maybe I didn't deserve to be in certain spaces, maybe I didn't deserve to be at a place like Cornell. But now I think with time, I really use that comment to empower me and to take as much space as I possibly can wherever I go. Part of the reason why I aimed for a school like Columbia Law is because there are few people who get to go there who look like me with my type of background. And so for me, those type of experiences and claiming space is not just for me, but it's for people who look like me and for people who come after me and people who, are kids of immigrants or immigrants themselves who maybe feel like they don't deserve to be in a space because of their identity.
The way that I saw me going to school is sharing the challenge that I was going through. As DACA recipients, we have the privilege of having a social security number we can use to work, and we have a work permit essentially. But we also have the ability to apply to some universities. At that time, when I was applying to schools, we didn't have that. So I had to come to terms with being an undocumented student and also sharing my story with teachers, because not everyone understood what I was going through. College acceptance letters would come in, but they consider me an international student, so they would only give me the bare minimum of scholarships. And it was very hard at that time. I was a hopefully 11-year-old, but by the time I was 17, 18, I was distraught. I didn't really know if that hope could carry me through the next 4 years because I didn't know what the next 4 years would mean.
Like, it's almost oversaturation of like sad stories and the children being ripped apart.
It creates fear, and that has an economic impact.
Like, a lot of the work that we were doing was triage. It was putting bandages on gunshot wounds.
When there is a spike of deportation cases,
The issue has to be solved from the ground up.
it should be something that everyone cares about.
And people feel a lot of compassion, but then because they're exposed to this so often, they almost have compassion fatigue and they're desensitized to how intense this situation is.